The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. Let's talk about it. 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 On the Vera Thomas Show. Let's talk about it. Yeah.
Hello, hello, hello. I am back. We are at the All-Star Authors Conference, and I am so excited. I have another author here, and her name is Ahyoka. I love that name. I love that name. Can you tell me a little bit about? No, she's going to tell us about her book and other things, but her name fascinates me. So I want to know about your name.
Yes. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's an honor and a privilege and a pleasure. My name is Ahyoka, and it's actually Cherokee, and it means one who brings happiness. And I talk about in the story how so long I was able to give happiness to everybody else, but didn't know how to give it to myself.
And you know that is so important. So
Yes.
important to understand we seek happiness out there,
Yes.
and we seek and want other people to make us happy when in actuality we can make ourselves happy.
Yes.
We can do that. But anyway, she has a book, and I'm going to give her the mic and allow her to share a little bit about Ahyoka, her book, and what made her write this book.
Thank you. My name is Ahyoka once again, and my book is called Flourish, Replanting Seeds of Purpose. And for so long in my life, even though I come from a lineage, Vera, of my uncle was the first African-American mayor of Atlanta, Georgia, Maynard Jackson. And I come from history and lineage of trailblazers who impacted everything that you could think of. But I did not feel worthy of my calling and who I was. And that impacted me because of some childhood trauma at a young age. It impacted me as a wife, as a mom, in my business, my worth of who I was and the value that I brought to the marketplace, and especially impacted me and my happiness. So when I talk about flourishing, it means to bloom, to prosper, to grow. I realized that everything I touch flourished, people, opportunities, but I forgot to touch myself. So my marriage was desolate. My children were hurting. And not until I put my business down and saw that what I was really chasing was not as valuable of what was right there beside me. And when I put it down, I started to understand how hurt I was, my husband was, my children were, and this book was born. I didn't go looking for this book. It came out of a life of experience, of understanding.
That is amazing. And Maynard Jackson, I met him when I came to Atlanta a long
Yes,
time ago.
yes.
I was in my early 20s and came to a conference, and I never forgot him.
He was memorable.
He left such an impression upon me as a young person. Never forgot him. So I am honored to be interviewing. And you were
I'm his niece.
his niece. Oh my God, I'm honored. Okay. All right. Back to a couple of things that you said. And one of the things being that I work with parents and their kids, let me take this out of my mouth. That I work with parents and their kids, you are an example of when parents are bringing in their own unresolved issues
Yes.
and not addressing them,
Mhm.
it impacts
Everything.
on everything, the marriage, the children, the business. And so your book is a testament to what happens when we don't acknowledge our own hurts and our own pain and want to work at those things. And so kudos to you
Thank you.
for recognizing, because awareness precedes change. You cannot change what you are not willing to acknowledge. And so Ioka, she acknowledged and recognized that her unresolved issues were impacting on every other area of her life. So I want you to take a few minutes and just talk about your process.
Yes. Well, first I had to realize that if I did not stop to ask this simple question, but how many times do we know simple is never simple, right? I had to ask myself, why am I the way that I am? And when I took a moment to evaluate who I was and why I was, I had to learn how to, what I love, an acronym that the Father gave me is called BOSS UP. I had to believe, own, see, and seize my unique potential. So I had to understand where was my beliefs, my core beliefs and who I was and what I needed to change. I had to own everything I brought to the table, the good, the bad, and the ugly to my journey. I had to see it from a different perspective, and then I had to go and seize it. I had to take action. But first, it started with recognizing and accepting what had happened to me. I had to uproot these negative, faulty core beliefs that were planted so now I could change my next generation.
Yes. And, having grown up with some childhood trauma myself, I understand that it is a process.
Yes.
And it's not only a process where you start it and then it's over, it's daily. It's consistent.
Yes.
And it's always happening. Even now, I'm sure that you're still
Absolutely
growing and becoming all that God intended you to be.
That right there is what we gonna throw over in a second. We about to flip this table. Listen, I just turned 44.
Oh,
But thank you. But it wasn't until 35 that I recognized what my calling was. And it wasn't within the last 2 years that I started to understand. And the process of healing started at 35. So it was a journey from 35, almost 10 years of who am I? Understanding my self-worth, loving myself the way that he sees me, the way that he loves me on that level. I didn't know how much I distrusted him because the roots ran so deep. And unless you get those roots and you get them up, you're dealing with the leaves. You're dealing with the surface. But we have to take that modified seeds, them GMOs that's been modified because of these tainted seeds. And we have to uproot it and we have to change it. And it's a daily process because we're not complete until we're called home. Until then, there is always something he is revealing to us to work on.
Absolutely. That is so true. And when you recognize that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and when you recognize that you were designed with purpose, he said, I knew you before you were born.
Yes, in your mother's womb.
In your mother's womb. And you're so pretty. You're a beautiful, beautiful lady. And you're a baby. Let me tell you, you're a baby. Okay, I'm old enough to be your mother. For real. Anyway.
But for so long, I didn't feel beautiful. Because I realized so many times we say boss, right? It comes with this presence. It's this outside thing. But I had to learn to understand that boss is an inside job. When you understand who you truly are on the inside, then it's manifested on the outside. But it took a long time to get to say that I'm beautiful and understand and know that for myself. That I'm a boss, I'm a great mom, a phenomenal. It took a long time for me to see myself through my creator's eyes because it was so full of dirt and taint and what other people had planted and other lies that I accepted as my truth.
Other lies that you accepted as your truth. And I was the same way. Until I recognized. Eleanor Roosevelt had a quote. And that quote is, no one can make you feel inferior without your permission. When I understood that, then I also understood it didn't matter what other people said about me. It didn't matter how other people treated me. It didn't matter What mattered was how I saw myself, what I said to myself,
Yes.
and you recognize that as well.
Yes.
And we ran out of time. But Ahyoka is going to be coming onto my show for a full hour. So I'm excited. We'll be talking about her book.
Yes.
And again, we are at the Authors All-Star Conference in Atlanta. And she is one of the authors here. You can get her book at iamioka.com. iamioka.com. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Vera.
much.
Thank
And
you.
listen, God bless you all. And we'll be back with another interview really soon. Have a great afternoon.
The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Okay. And then
Let's
also
talk
everybody.
about it.
Oh, okay.
Let's talk about it. On the Vera Thomas Show.
Okay.
Let's talk about it.
So far in the back.
All right.
And it's just-
Well,
pretty much
somebody
giving us
commented,
permission
so
to be
hey,
able-
hello.
Even though it's live.
Wait.